All right, ladies and gents, we are back. That's Angel. My name is Alex. And oh my goodness, I feel like this is something that I've talked about plenty of times, but it just doesn't change. So that's why we have to keep on talking about it. And it is youth soccer here in the United States. And particularly, we're going to talk about the transition from high school into college. And I've been very vocal about this whole system being so incredibly flawed, and how I think that there's just no way that a prospect should leave high school and then go play soccer in college, because by the time they're 22, 23, they're old for soccer standards. What do you think about that system? Do you think it's a good, appropriate one, or do you think that it's too Americanized?
It's way too Americanized. Like the money involved in it, too much money. I've seen very little good players not go to college and go straight to Europe. Like, for example, Pulisic, he left at 15 or something like that. And like some other ones, I don't know who, but I've seen the faces and the names, but I just can't remember. But very few that I've seen like on social media or on news, saying that like that player didn't go to college, they went straight to Europe.
Yeah. Well, that's becoming a little more prominent. Like that's something that's actually happening now. But for example, when Pulisic did it, that wasn't the norm.
Yeah.
Now it's kind of the norm. Gio Reyna did it. Weston McKennie. Serginho. Well, Serginho was born in the Netherlands, actually.
Yeah.
He's
in the Ajax academy.
Yeah, he was just always Dutch, and then he elected to play for the U.S.
Jeez.
Yeah, I know. I still don't. Well, I mean, based on how he plays, I don't think he would have made it in the Netherlands.
No.
Based on that form, I don't think he would have been a starting player. But yeah, Weston McKennie, Tyler Adams, him. Well, he played in the MLS, but he debuted at like 17, right?
Yeah.
So the point that we're trying to make here is that all of these guys that succeeded, all of these guys that have found success and are playing in big European clubs, they didn't go to college here, right?
Yeah.
And this is the example that I always use when I'm talking about this. Picture a 22-year-old college graduate. I don't know what's a good college for soccer.
Clemson.
Clemson?
Yeah. I think they won the national championship.
Oh my goodness. All right, well, Clemson. Let's say there's like the top goal scorer from Clemson. He's a senior and he graduates. He's 22. He goes into the MLS draft, which, how stupid is it that the MLS has a draft, right? First and foremost. Second thing, he's 22 years old and he's just turning pro. You cross the pond, you go to Europe. 22-year-old Kylian Mbappe, well, he's 23 now, but 23-year-old or 22-year-old Kylian Mbappe, he's a world champion. He's won multiple league titles in France. He's one of the best players in the world. Probably going to be the best player in the world once Messi and Ronaldo retire, and like the most marketable and the most famous, the most followed. It's very, very different.
Yeah.
It's a different world, because over there, the norm isn't to go to college, whereas right here it is. And I feel like if you want football to be massive here in this country, you have to steer away from the American way, right? Now let me ask you this: do you think that if the MLS becomes a league that exports a bunch of players, do you think that would make the national team, the U.S. national team, the U.S. as a country, a bigger power in world football?
For sure. Because, I mean, most of these, like the starting lineup for America against Mexico, they mostly the MLS players. And they haven't gone to Europe. They have no taste of Europe. And, like, there's obviously comparisons of American soccer to European soccer and, like, college soccer. There's like comparisons saying that the third division could be an MLS side easily. Like, you know, like, I don't know, like the standards is so low here.
Yeah, and it's mainly like guys like, I don't want to call the MLS a retirement league. I think that's very unfair, but I think that it's a lot of guys that are in their mid 30s looking for their last big payday that come here. And those are the guys that bring the value up of the franchises. And it all started with David Beckham.
Yeah.
Right? That's the guy that started it. But I do think that if MLS teams develop their academies a little more and brought in players that are more, I don't want to say that the players are bad, because they're not. These are not bad players. These are very incredibly talented players. But if they became a league like the Argentine league, like the Brazilian league, that they just ship out players like every day, pretty much, they ship out players to Europe. If the U.S. does that, the U.S. has an advantage in population.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Like, think about it. Let's just say, like, I don't know, like, just here in the Chicagoland area, imagine how many players can be shipped out to Europe and go play over there. There's so many. And I think it would be really cool if they first go through the ranks in the MLS team here, which is Chicago Fire, and then they go to Europe. Like, yeah. I feel like that's really cool. But that's something that unfortunately isn't done here in the United States. Do you think that can be done in a near future?
Maybe. I think they have to realize that it's not always about the money, even though we live in a country where money's everything, you know? So something has to hit them, I think. And it could be, it has to be something big. And for them to realize that they have to start shipping players out to Europe.